Okay.
I know this joke. You have to find out another one.
Typical. Anywho, am I recording? Oh shit, I'm not. Hang on. I gotta record. I better start that. Anywho, so we will go live. You're already up on YouTube. It's all good. I'm going to press the play button. Counting down. 5, 4, going ghost.
Hello, hello. You are listening to the Universal Consciousness Show with Diana and Augie, and this is the show where you can find out all the things that we're not supposed to know about. Today we have two guests with us. That's Diana and Augie. We're going to be talking about something that not too many people know about, and that is healing. What is healing and how can it be done? What is that difference from medical profession altogether? And Diana is with us here from Germany. She has been my co-host for over a year, and we've heard her on the air, but many people probably don't even know who she is. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Diana. Who are you?
Well, when are you ready with everything what you have to say? I will start my story and also tell you who I am.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
it's a good time. Just go ahead and tell us who you are.
Okay. So who am I? I think I'm a soul having a physical experience. So this is what I know now. But for a very long time ago, I thought I am Diana plus the whole data I could write in a biography. And later, I understood that in order to know who am I, first I have to remove everything I know about me and go inside in my inner world to meet my essence and to understand who I really am. So, Agi, if you maybe you want to say something, then I will start to tell the listener
Yeah,
how I healed my diseases.
yeah, we're going to talk about healing basically and how it is can be done. And some of it is so simple to do, and very few people do it. Now, I didn't say easy, I said simple. The reason it is not easy is because there's some effort on our part. And a lot of new things are happening in the medical industry right now, and the healing industry also. We have cannabis oil, and we were talking before the show, Diana, that that is now
Yeah.
become legal in Germany. You can actually buy cannabis oil.
Yes.
And I guess you have to have a prescription to get it, but if it's the real thing, then that's okay. And
Yes,
of course,
it's a step forward anyway.
yeah. And now I also read about that they are growing organs. They grow lung tissue. They grow kidneys in a glass jar, and they're transplanting that into people. They're also printing these things, and that that is done in just a few minutes. They're printing them, these organs,
Yes.
and they work. That's phenomenal. And then again, we have different healing methods like Ho'oponopono out of Hawaii. That's a healing method that is very simple. And there were one of the doctors out there, Hugh Len. He healed a hospital full of criminally insane people without even talking to any of them. And I think Diana's got something to say about that too. So I'm going to leave that one alone for now because it is so phenomenal what really can be done. And then we have Joe Dispenza, which He broke his back below his neck, and he was a total paraplegic. He couldn't move any of the body, and he healed himself just by thinking himself well. In 10 weeks, he was back to work. Now, that is just mind-boggling. And I know that Diana will talk a little more about that too into the show here, because she learned a few things from him also. And at the end of the show, I want to, if we have the chance to another time, I want to do a mastermind group, because a mastermind group is what we need to do in order to right the wrongs that is going on around us everywhere. And I want to say just one thing on the mastermind group. That is, the definition of a mastermind group is when two or more minds are united in harmony, they create a third mind that has the potential mind power of the two or more of them multiplied by each other. So when we join our minds together, there's some amazing things that can happen. And then I know that Diana, she had, her health was failing. And she went to the doctors, and they basically told her, well, gee, there's not much we can do for you. So she went outside of the box, and she found remedies. She found methods that she could do, simple things. And she healed herself just by thinking herself well. So I recommend listen really close to what Diana has to say today, because this, if you do what she does or what others have done in this arena, that will change your life. And it doesn't have to take years to do it. It can be done fairly quickly. So what do you think about that, Diana?
Yes, I'm happy to be here to share my story, because, if only one person could heal itself by hearing my story, then I think my story was not in vain. And I was really suffering from some diseases in the past, because many years ago I used to be a kind of person who thought that everything happened to me, everything is better than I am, I will never manage, I will never succeed, and the list can continue. I hated myself, and of course I collected a bunch of diseases, and I was overwhelmed with all kinds of pains and diseases. And simply said, I thought my life is an unfair struggle, which I will inevitably lose anyway. And it was exactly what I created for me to experience. I was depressed. I was obese. I had agoraphobia. That means that you cannot go out from your home without having a panic attack. I was a bulimic. I just mentioned, for the one that they don't know, bulimic, it's the one that it's eating and vomiting, and then you will be fatter and fatter until you get obese. So there were all psychical disorders that were manifested by my inner thoughts, to speak like that. So I was anyway broken at all levels. The shift began as my limits were too far away. As a single mother in a foreign country, after a broken marriage, working in 3 different jobs at the same time with no support at all, I found out from the allopathic doctors, that my daughter, she was at that time 4 years old, will end up in a wheelchair due to an autoimmune disease. It was the moment of my life where I first stopped, and I decided not to believe all this crazy stuff that happened to me. So in that moment, I began to ask myself, who am I? What I'm doing here? Where do I come from? And why I am here? Was it me creating all this? Is it something I could change? And which are the things I could change? And of course, how do I accept the things I cannot change? And where do I get the wisdom to see the difference between them? Can I look behind the curtains? Is there something much higher than that we are aware of? And so on. So I reached the moment of disruption and I was suddenly awake. And I started a long way of researching about the truth. I first started with the noetic sciences as epigenetic, quantum medicine, vibrational medicine, and all the alternative to the allopathic one. I researched all the scientific records about the near-death experiences, and I was very, very fascinated about all the information that we receive from the other realm. And I knew in that moment that someone out there wants us to be healthy. Quantum physics and neuroscience also opened my eyes wide, and after a while, I simply felt like the veil was removed from my eyes. I then started to get deeper in spiritual practices like meditation, qigong, yoga, direct connective healing, as well as seeking for God. I went through religious journey and I stopped to the Taoism after I read the book from Tao Te Ching from Lao Tzu. And I also was very fascinated about the Kybalion from Hermes Trismegistus, as their philosophy from 1,000 years ago can be related to the most recent scientific discovery from nowadays. And I also read some authors that provided the truth, like Wayne Dyer, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Rupert Sheldrake, Deepak Chopra, Dick Sutton, and many others, and later also Jennifer Follow, and of course Aage Nost. And this all this book and all these books and the information inside changed completely my life. With the time I became a new me, and suddenly I was happy to wake up every morning, and I didn't even know why. I healed all the diseases that I had. I lost my overweight, and I began to love myself. And I understood who I really am. The diseases from my daughter were also gone. They didn't exist anymore because I changed my mind, and there was no place there for bad things. Often I found myself crying for happiness, and I stopped to touch and admire the flowers, the trees, the flavors, the colors, the wonderful pattern in a strawberry, things that they were always there, but I wasn't aware of. I began to love everything around me. I didn't judge the homeless anymore. I loved everything and everyone, and I began to forgive myself and forgive the others, and I felt free from the first time in my life. I created a new reality by connecting to evolved emotion related to positive thoughts, as love, gratitude, compassion, forgiveness, awareness. I mean, how could this all happen? Suddenly, you are no longer the person you used to be. You don't like the things you used to like. And all these little things that caused pain in the past are not relevant anymore suddenly, because you exist in another frequency and you are connected to something else, to other people, to other stuff. And the only problem with this exciting research about the truth is that it's simply a never-ending story, because the more I learned, the more I felt how less I knew. And the more you know, the more question you will have. And every question that I could answer opened the door to 10 other questions, which lead me to another research. And, I probably never be able to stop again. And soon, yeah.
I know. That's how we feel, We
Yeah.
learn something, then there's questions inside of what we learn, and now we got to go look at that. And
Yes,
but
so you cannot stop.
when you were talking about healing your daughter didn't do anything, but you were doing.
Yes, because I at that time I wasn't aware about this, but later I understood. I will talk about this tiny bit later. I understood because I read somewhere that when a mother start to meditate, she will take her kids within meditation, because a mother will receive the divine rights. above her child.
Mm.
And as I started to meditate, then I started to notice the behavior from my daughter, and everything was changed. But I will come to this a tiny bit later.
Yeah.
But the swift, the important moment in my life is that soon I realized that the reason why people are suffering is their resistance to the change. In this research, it was the books from Dick Sattman and his healing programs that helped me a lot. And I understood that it is the adaptability to the change that allow us to evolve, and not the resistance to it. Do we have a problem with the sound?
I can hear you.
Okay, because I hear my echo.
Oh, no, you sound good here.
Okay, and we all know that the change is the only constant in the universe, so we have to go with it. So I learned with the time to accept and allow, to stop doing and practice being, because in fact we are human beings and not human doings, right?
Yeah.
In this direction, my favorite example I like to talk about is from the nature. It is the metamorphosis of the caterpillar into a butterfly, this miracle that science cannot explain yet. So do like she does. Don't look outside from the shift, but go inside in your cocoon, in your inner world, and allow the change to happen. Allow your divine essence to manifest from inside out. Become a new wonderful being exactly like she does, free from any attachment, manifesting pure love every day of your life. In fact, this was a squeezed story, but I will tell tiny bit details about what happened to me. You know, in everyone's life, the time is coming from the awareness, the so-called aha moments to occur. Then you start to search, and then you cannot stop anymore because you have the access to the information that opened the door to the transformation. Is exactly what Joe Dispenza calls the information to transformation. And by this research, every day in your life is a journey to a new discovery. And a very, very inspirational source in my researches was Anita Morjani. This is a woman who had a near-death experience. And it is like she described in her book, Dying to Be Me, after her near-death experience that changed her life and the lives from the one who read her story. She said to us, imagine you are living in an immensely warehouse and you always had a single source of light coming from a single candle to observe the surroundings. So anywhere where you looked, you could see only a tiny area limited by the light of a candle, and the rest of the immensity around was always in darkness and you were never aware of. This is exactly the way we are living, actually, and science also proved that we are aware of only 5% from the reality. That means that theoretically we are almost blind. So now imagine that all of a sudden someone will switch on the light and you suddenly realize that the infinity of your surroundings that was always there, but you wasn't aware of because it was no light. You were living in darkness. The question is now, will you continue to believe that your reality is only the limited area you could see before in a candlelight? Or you will be curious to explore to explore everything that was hidden from your sight all this time, to explore the wholeness you belong to. You will have, of course, thousands of questions bombarding your mind. And actually, this is the moment where you become a seeker. And with every answer, you will know more and more. And the more you know, the more question you will have. And soon you will know you will want to know who you really are, and you will want to know why, and you will want to know how. And this is the beginning of a journey within towards yourself. And suddenly all the things that you that used to border you before, so all the little things you used to think about before, they will no longer interest you. And this is what I would call awakening and the beginning of a personal evolution. And a lot of answer can be found in Anita's Morjani book. Her near-death experience was categorized by the medicine science as an extraordinary one. She was dying because of a terminal cancer after 4 years of painful experience that ravaged her body and brought her in a wheelchair connected to an oxygen tube. And in her journey in the other realm, she was somehow connected to the universal consciousness, and a whole knowledge was somehow downloaded in her mind. And she came back here to share with us this knowledge, to give us the understanding of how life works, and that is our responsibility to improve our lives. The knowledge he received out there, it is perfectly related to all the new scientific discovery from quantum physics, from epigenetics, from neuroscience, from quantum medicine. But the most important message that she brought for us, it is that we are all loved unconditionally in every single moment of our lives. And there is no judgment out there. There is no conviction except our own. And even though we are not prepared to hear this message, it is the truth. It is our own and only, it is our one and only reality. And by understanding our own magnificence, we should be able to love ourselves and stop hurting ourselves. And yes, her body was completely healed as she came back in her body. She was experiencing a total cancer remission. And she was completely healed within a few days, and the doctor couldn't accept that. In the end, I wonder if it is necessary that we die in order to heal ourselves. Maybe this should be another message from Anita's extraordinary experience, that there is a healing power inside of us, and we don't have to wait for the death to activate this power. We should connect to the infinite source of love while we are alive and live our life fearlessly and enjoy every moment. As she said, eat chocolate and feel the magic of a sunrise, of a beautiful tree, and understand that we are loved from the first moment of our birth until we go back and merge with the all. And this was also the message from her second book, What If Heaven Is Here, which she dedicated to Wayne Dyer. And talking about Wayne Dyer, he always used to say, don't die with your music inside you, let it guide you. Well, let's talk also about the last researches in the noetic sciences. Neuroscience, for instance. Neuroscience proved we are responsible for our experiences. We are literally the creators of our reality. As I started at that time, I started to go deeper in this knowledge, and I understood that a lot of bad experiences do not exist in reality, but only in our minds. And they are just the result of how our mind interprets the events around. So let's take a common example. Stress. Stress is the worst factor that influences our health. However, stress does not exist. Stress is our reaction to a certain situation, depending on our brain interpretation, according to our mental programs that we learned since we were born. So this is only our own creation. We are the creators. We were programmed to think in a certain way, to believe in certain things, to react in a certain way, and so on and so forth. And this since we were born. And also, you know, the saying, if you by simply watching a rose, you can be sad that the rose has thorns, or you can be happy that the thorns have roses, depending on how you look at things. It is up to you. And we all know the famous saying, if you change the way to look at things, things changes. And this was also confirmed by the quantum mechanics, precisely according to the theory of Copenhagen, debated between 1925 and 1929 by Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg. The act of the observer of measuring a physical system will produce certain results. And much more, the physical systems generally do not have prior properties prior of being measured. So in other words, we as observers, we can influence the observed system. Also, the famous scientific system experiment called the double slit experiment, it proves how particles behave either as waves or as particles, depending on whether they are or not being observed. It is mind-blowing and give us the understanding of how our own power overtakes the responsibility of our life. And as also in this topic, we can relate to what Joe Dispenza says: by simply observing a situation, we are the creators of this situation. And the question is, can you observe a future with colorful details and elevated emotion as if it already happened? Well, if yes, then you've just created the future you want. And to go much deeper in the subatomic world, also the epigenetics tells us that our cells' behavior is in accordance to the information we provide precisely to the way we think. A lot of this information about change your brain by changing your thought is provided by Dr. Joe Dispenza, which was one of the most enlightening sources I've found in my researches. He himself, as you, Aage, told before, he was paralyzed by an accident and he has no recovery prognosis. However, he healed himself by thought alone. So he is not only a scientist in neuroscience, but also an explorer of the realm of this science. He experienced and applied this knowledge on his own body. And his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, it's a really guiding light for the people who want to understand how we create our reality. And also the book, Evolving Your Brain, and all his conferences available on his YouTube channel can bring you on a higher level of understanding, and you will be up to date with every single new discovery of neuroscience. And also his books are available in an audio format, so you don't need an extra time for reading. You can simply listen while you're doing something else. And also they are written in a common language, so we can all understand it and apply this knowledge in all day. And by the way, the simple act of listening to such high-level information like books, conferences, documentaries will automatically raise your vibration, and soon you will no longer be the same person you used to be, because you will be a part, you will simply be a part of this high vibrational information. And we already know by now that everything is information and everything exists in different levels of vibration. And the question is which level you would choose. Remember, where you put your attention, you put also your energy. So you will be a part of the system you are connected to. So will you choose to be a part of healing information, evolving and enlightening knowledge, or you will choose to be a part of your stressful chatter of your own mind? And
yeah, we got 1 minute left now, Diana, and then we got to take a commercial break. So don't lose your thought there. And
okay.
yeah, just hang on to that thought you had. You've done this so eloquently that we got to continue there. What you were talking about, that yes, we are creating our own future actually by visualizing it into existence in the future, and then we hold on to that visualized image in the present, and that draws us into the future. So this is what Diana has been doing. She created that image of herself also together with the exercise and the practices that she was doing. So let's come back after the break and we will talk more about this. And
Okay.
we will then take about 3 to 4 minutes break, and that's time to fill your coffee up, and then we will be back. We will be talking more about healing, and what Diana did will give you some of the nuts and the bolts that what you can do.
Ben Franklin said, "If you do the same thing tomorrow as you did today, you're going to get the same tomorrow as you got today." Changing the world starts with you, and changing you starts with changing the way you think. Late Night in the Midlands can help. Listen to all of our shows at latenightinthemidlands.com, because things really do need to change.
You can listen to the LNM Radio Network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through the Paranormal Radio app. Available from lnmradionetwork.com or talkstreamlive.com on both Android and Apple. Our call to listen line is open 24/7. Dial 701-719-9704 so you can listen on the go.
The LNM Radio Network and Late Night in the Midlands depends on you, the listener. Without you, there would be no us. So help us continue to bring you the best guests with the best information, and subscribe today. Information on becoming an LNM subscriber can be found at the top of latenightinthemidlands.com. Just click the About Subscriptions tab and become part of the family while helping the truth stay alive. And while you're at it, maybe subscriptions aren't for you. A one-time donation helps as well. Click that donate button on the right side of latenightinthemidlands.com and help us help you.
To hide the truth once you know it makes you think that you are better than everyone else. It makes you into the type of person who says, "Ooh, I have a secret," but you're not ready to hear it yet. However, for $39.95, I'll let you in on the secret. You'll lead the people to the promised land for the cheap price of 3 easy payments of 1/3 of their soul apiece.
Hello, hello. We are back with the Universal Consciousness Show, and it is just Diana and me here today. And Diana is talking about how she healed herself from several different debilitating diseases, and what neuroscience tells us that everybody can do. And it is actually simple. Like again, I said, it wasn't easy because there's some effort on our part, but the effort is well worth it. And before the break here, you were talking about Joe Dispenza there, Diana. So I hope you didn't lose your place there, because you were
No.
really on a roll explaining this, what he was doing and how he was thinking and what he was doing.
Yes, the conclusion to what he says is that we are all fantastic creators and we have the free will to create whatever we think about, whether it's good or bad. This is very important. And just to talk about my healing began at that time, as I first read about the mental programs that are implemented in our brain since we were born, I was very scared about this information. The whole educational system made us to what we are today, manifesting the auto-destructive effects of our own beliefs. Well, then at that time, I asked myself, if it is like that, then who am I behind all this bunch of rules? Who am I without all these programs? Where is the origin of myself, and how does it look it from inside? And how can I remove all the subliminal mental programs running inside my head? How can I stop them from undermining my reality? In that time, when I had 3 jobs, I was also very ill and I was suffering of different pains and different diseases in my body. So I did also all kind of medical treatments that allopathic medicine could recommend me. And also from time to time, I was strongly suggested by the allopathic doctors to remove one or another organ from my body. Well, I wonder today what would I become if I listen to them? An empty box, or maybe just a sad memory in my daughter's thoughts. So, luckily, we have a saying that in all bad things there is a lucky sense. Because at that time, luckily, I never had time to go to a hospital to cut something from my body. Because I had to work and I couldn't leave my daughter alone at home a few days. So somehow I thought that the doctors must be wrong and I will manage without the surgery. And as I was supposed to do a hysterectomy, that means to remove the womb, a friend of mine told me at that time something that drew my attention. She said that by removing the womb, I will lose the connection to the earth. Well, I didn't even know I had one at that time. And she explained me also about the first chakra, Muladhara, and the connection to the earth. And I felt so stupid, and I decided to research about all the things before I will let the doctors to decide about my own body. And as I grown up in a doctor's family, because my father was a pediatric doctor, in a communist dictatorial regime, I never heard him talking about chakras. And any other sources of information were strictly forbidden and blocked in our country. We were separated from the rest of the world. We belonged to the power system, and they were manipulating us, and they would made us believe only in their absolute power. But nevertheless, I was lucky to have an open mind. So I somehow knew in an intuitive way that there is something more there than I'm aware of. And later I understood I was right as I began to discover neuroscience. I checked what do the people that healed themselves had in common. Well, they had knowledge, and this stuff, it was something I never heard before at that time. And after I read a few books about neuroscience, I understood that there was a whole universe I never knew about, and it was my inner world. And it was as infinite as the outer world, but unexplored yet. It was also the Brahmanic legend of human divine that made me think deeper. So wow, the divine of the human was hidden inside their own heart, because the human will always explore the outer worlds to search for the divine, from the bottom of the ocean to the top of the cosmos, but they will never come to the idea to search deep in their inner worlds. So that reminds me also of the poet, what poet Rumi said, only from the heart you can touch the sky. And the question was for me, if the divine is inside me, what am I afraid for? And this led me at that time to another simple question. Every morning when I wake up, I never worry if I still know how to walk, if I still know how to breathe, if my heart knows how to pump the blood, or my brain knows how to do whatever he has to do. So why? Who or what did I trust in? If there is something there we can trust to take care of everything, then we should trust the same power to take care of our healing. We should be aware of this power inside us that is beyond our understanding, the same power that created us and knew exactly how to put all the pieces together in order to create a system that will work perfectly. It was nothing randomly in the whole creation process, I'm sure. Just to mention here, because we don't have time, but think about the Fibonacci numbers and the golden ratio, the experience of Masaru Emoto about the water memory and so on. So it is something bigger than us knows how to fix everything. We just have to trust and allow the healing to happen. And I also I read once that if you could observe a single human cell in a single moment, you will discover more activity inside a cell than all the activities you can observe in a midday hour in the whole New York put together. So this is huge. And also, according to the epigenetics provided by Bruce Lipton, our cells, they are a community. They communicate with each other. They have organs like we have, called organelles. They have the same functions like we have, and there is a whole science about this. So simply put, every one of us is a community of hundreds, billions of cells that have their own life, like we have our own life in a bigger system we call humanity. And exactly like us, they can live in harmony with each other, and then the whole will be also harmonious. Or they can fight each other, and then the whole will be in a total anarchy. So that will manifest in our body the so-called autoimmune diseases. And also, amazingly, our cells can also commit suicide through the process called apoptosis in order to save us for diseases. And they know exactly when to do this and why. So my question was at the time, where do these cells take the information from? So how do they know how to behave in one way or another? And there were tons of questions. And you know, when you think, how comes that we have more knowledge about our cars as about ourselves? And also, according to the epigenetics, our cells take the information from environment. A big part of this means our thoughts, our programs, our mental programs running in unconsciousness mind. So I thought at that time, if I had the appropriate knowledge, I could tell myself to do only good stuff in order to stay healthy and be happy, right? Yes, this was the information that Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, and many other scientists gave us. In this way, combining epigenetics and neuroscience, we can create an own designed body and an own designed life according to our highest wishes. Of course, at that time in my mind were tons of questions about how to do this. Now I had a layer of knowledge, so what? Finally, I decided that my inner power can do more than I understand, so I trusted this, and I trusted that there in my inner power, in my inner world, everything was possible, on contrary to what my analytic mind said. So I put my analytic mind away, and I trusted my unknown inner power, my essence, my higher self, or whatever is there inside me that knows how things need to be done. First, I started to observe what is happening. I stopped for a while and deeply observed my thoughts by looking inside my head, so to speak. So I was listening to my thoughts, and I felt as if I was in a huge conference room where all the visitors were speaking loud, in different languages, in different ways, about different stuff, and all of the same time. And this was the chat room inside my mind. These were my own thoughts. Now, in this moment, I know that we have daily about 60 to 70,000 thoughts, and we are aware only about 2,000 of them. So if these were my thoughts, no wonder I had an ill body. So I wanted to go deeper and deeper and to understand where all these crazy thoughts are coming from. And step by step, I began to be aware of my beliefs, of my hidden mental programs, and that they took control of the whole life that I was experiencing at that time. I was actually trained to believe certain things in every situation and to react accordingly to the memories saved there. I also learned that we can act from memory or from intuition. This is what Ho'oponopono tells us. Dr. Joe Vitale explained that very detailed in his books Zero Limits and The Zero Point, where he also explained how Dr. Hu Lin healed a whole hospital of mental diseases, ill patients, by practicing Ho'oponopono without having contact with the patient. And the hospital was after that closed, as you also mentioned at the beginning, Aage. And for the one that doesn't know what Ho'oponopono is, this is an ancient knowledge, an ancient Hawaiian knowledge, according to which, by simply repeating 4 sentences, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you, the whole errors from your system will be removed. This is a very simple healing method, and believe me, it works.
Yeah.
So back to my thoughts. I understood that for each event that occurs in my life, I had an already implemented program which takes control of everything. So where was I in this whole tapestry? I mean, the real me with my soul wishes. Do I have any power left somewhere, or did I give my whole power away by allowing some other stuff to control my life? This was the moment where I understood I have to take my power back and to take control of my life and start running my own business, so to speak. In that moment, I started to meditate, and of course, I didn't know how, but I did meditate. I again trusted my inner power, my inner know-how. I just allowed. This is the word. So I was sitting there in the lotus position, listening to meditation music 45 minutes every day. I somehow was sure that something is happening inside, even though I wasn't aware of. In this direction, I read a lot from Deepak Chopra for a better understanding. Later, one day while I was meditating, I somehow moved my closed eyes into a center point, and suddenly there it was. It was this explosion of colors from a center point to outside in big circles, and then it was also a violet sparkling network multiplying itself very rapidly. And this was also happening with my closed eyes. I realized this was always there all the time, but I wasn't aware of. I felt strong emotion in my heart. It was like a physical warmth that made me cry. It was like I came home after a very long journey. I knew in that moment it was love what I felt, unconditional love. It is as if while you are praying, you suddenly feel God touching your heart, and you know now He was always there in every moment of your life since you were born, just waiting for you to be aware of His presence, of His love, no matter who you are and how you are. And suddenly you realize, oh, this is what I was looking for all this time. But I was looking outside, and I simply thought it's my job. I thought it's my love or my career, my house, my car, my clothes, my society, and all the little things you can think about. But I was wrong. It was actually always here waiting for me to embrace, to allow, to be aware of. In such moments, um, in such moments of awareness, you become one with God, and you become the healing itself. Um, you become divine love. You are love. We all are, from the beginning to the end, seeking our true essence, but we never realize what we are seeking for. I also read that, as you asked me before about the healing of my daughter, I read that when a mother is practicing meditation on a daily basis, she takes her kids within the meditation process because a mother has divine rights above his kids, her kids.
How's your daughter doing now?
Oh, she's doing wonderful. I simply, after I started to meditate, I observed her reaction, and I noticed that she laughed more than before. She stopped worrying about many things she used to worry before. She soon started also to meditate, to exercise, and her body was transformating in a beautiful, harmonious way. And the doctors were very confused on the regular check to see that her autoimmune disease simply disappeared. They didn't want to accept, so they repeat the analysis, and they didn't find anything.
Yeah, I
And
think what you just did there actually, I think is very important to understand because yes, we are, you said this earlier, we are responsible for everything we create in our life, but not just us. We are also responsible for other people that is in our life because in a mind created universe, we create those other people also. So
right.
you, by healing yourself, you also healed everything in your environment, including your daughter.
Yes, and I also read that when you rise your vibration, every person, every single person that rises its own vibration could take 300 person within this process. So you can see every person around you. You can see as an extension of yourself. And if you do something good for this person, you will do something good for you. And if you will hurt this person, you will hurt you. And this is very important to understand that we are entangled, and all we are all different facets of the
Yeah,
same whole,
yeah,
of the same. Yes.
yeah. And we got 2 minutes left of the show here, so let's remember that we gotta stop at 55 minutes so they can do a
Yes.
commercial break.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, I what you have explained here is the basics for anybody to do. It is simple. Go to some of these books and read the same thing Diana did. Start practicing some of the things that she did with meditation, visualization of the future. And also, you were dancing, also dancing Zumba. I remember you told me.
Zumba.
Zumba. Okay, well,
Yes.
I've never done either one, so I don't know. Yeah, but that's good exercise. Good exercise that makes your heart sing. Don't
Yes.
necessarily do stuff that you hate doing. That's just for the effects of it. Find something that'll give you the same effect, and then you will enjoy it more. And of course, we're getting down to the end here. So for those of you that want to listen to this again, go to YouTube and go to the Universal Consciousness Show, to our YouTube channel, and you can listen to it again. And also on our website where we archive everything, that's the www.universal-consciousness-show.com. And I think this is so important, especially if you have an ailment of any kind, or if you have a family member or know somebody that has an ailment of any kind. Give them the link and have them go there and listen to this show. And you were so You were so eloquent in explaining this. I left you alone and you did wonderful. I was very much engrossed in it. So now we're down to the end of the show. And Diana, thank you very much for going through and telling us all about this.
Thank you also.
And then next week, we will be back again with another show that will entice your mind. So I thank you very much to our listeners. We love you and we would like to see you back. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.